Okay, do we have anybody on Zoom?
See, one big house that was once, it would be so. Bracket for everyone, right?
Crazy.
All right, I will call the meeting to order. And we'll take a roll call attendance.
Lee,
Present.
Catherine, present, Igor,
Present.
Scott,
This goes to our rules of procedure,
Right.
yes,
and if I'm remembering them correctly, the rules of procedure that we have where that is addressed is only on the public hearing portion, not on our regular meeting portion. There's nothing on our regular meeting portion. So
Right.
if we're gonna have an in-depth conversation and decision about that, we should make it an agenda item
Right.
for the next meeting,
Right,
so we can have time to dive into it.
That's a great point.
yeah.
let's,
Because I mean, to be consistent for this meeting, I would suggest that if somebody is on Zoom and doesn't identify themselves, that they're not allowed to participate.
right,
But moving forward, if we're gonna discuss this in detail, it should be through our rules of procedure.
It's kind of our feeling is if we make these guys, no, and I'm not saying we have to do it or anything.
I
I'm
agree
just
with
saying,
you.
We
I
don't
agree.
have to-
So let's
Yeah.
kick it down the road to the next meeting,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, I don't think we even have to allow Zoom.
no,
No,
we
we
don't.
don't even have
So,
to have it.
and that's part of the discussion,
Yeah.
and that's not for today. I mean, that's
Yeah.
for an
Okay.
agenda item.
It came up because of the change they
Yeah.
made, so that's absolutely.
I'm terrible on Zoom because I always say stupid things. so.
Anyway.
That's
I get
actually,
kicked under the table
That's,
lots
that's,
of
that's
times.
my, that's one man's opinion on it.
that's absolutely perfect, and let's remember to talk about it in the next meeting and make a choice.
Yeah, then I can do a little research on it, and
Yeah,
That's
laws
great.
and all that stuff.
Speaking of Zoom, I don't see a link to join it on your website for this meeting.
It's at the bottom of
it's
the
at the bottom
agenda.
of the agenda, every time
Yeah.
it's down here.
Gotcha.
The town attorney did have an opinion, but we'll save it until.
For the next one.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, is it on the bottom?
But it's not much of a thing. It's kind of-
Do we put it on the bottom of the public hearing also, this language down here?
Yes.
Yes, so, yeah, it's down at the bottom, it gives you the link. All right, okay, then. We will continue the public hearing and discussion for a major subdivision. The location of the proposed subdivision is map lot 227-11-1, Mirror Lake Road, property Hubbard Hills LLC. It's a 6.78 acre lot to be subdivided into 5 lots. So we had, last month, we had a discussion. We didn't take any vote to say that the application was complete, but there were so many people present and everything that we welcomed any input that we would receive and decide later when we have sufficient information to call it a formal submission. So I don't know if we want to go there or we just want to hear some more things and decide somewhere along the line tonight whether the application is complete enough to deliberate. We can do any way we want to go, we can do it. You have a thought, Lee? It looks like.
I'm not, I think maybe we should just begin the discussion, and if it leads to a vote, it
Right.
gets to a vote. If not, maybe they'll be sent away and come back with some other information for us.
Maybe. All right, okay, and that's what we did last time. We listened, we heard a lot, we heard a lot. We didn't come to the conclusion that it was complete to really deliberate. And let's proceed in that same vein, tonight. Let's hear what you have to say, what you have, and you went away last time with a list. I've got the list of, things that you're gonna work on and bring back to us. So you wanna,
Sure,
tell us your progress to date
sure.
on this project?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the board. For the record, Joe Fesnola from Hancock Associates. I'm the engineer. We are the engineers and surveyors for the project. I do have some additional copies if that's too far away. We did prepare the plan set for this, which is a 4-sheet plan set. Consisting of existing conditions plan, topographic plan, the actual lotting plan, which is just what
I gave-
would be recorded. And then an engineered plan, which is the 4th sheet. So it's probably easiest to see the most information is on the engineering sheet, with sheet 404. When I think last meeting, maybe just the lotting plan.
Now, anybody from the,
So this is a 5-lot subdivision on Mirror Lake Road. And I think last time, some of the questions that came up had to do with drainage, had to do with shoreline protection, had to do with our status with regards to our state approvals for the subdivision. So I'll run through those first 3 issues, which I know had come up last time. Regarding drainage, what we did is this on this revised plan, revised dated 2/26/25. We just put our stormwater calculations right in the upper right-hand side that we had previously ran through. And just to describe the approach to stormwater on this, as the driveways will be graded in a manner that the water sheds off in one to one side. And along that one side, there'll be a stone trench, and the stone trench is designed with volume drip stone apron, which will be very similar. There's a detail on the plan down on the lower right-hand side of that stone trench. And that's again designed to attenuate the up to the 50-year event, which is what New Hampshire DES requires, that we look at the storm events, the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 50-year. And just for those that don't understand that language, the 50-year storm is a storm that occurs statistically once every 50 years. So it's a fairly large rainfall event. And what we look at is what happens in the existing conditions, or we call the pre-development, which is the upper table. And we look at what happens when rain falls onto the ground based on the soil conditions and the vegetative cover and how much water goes in each direction topographically. And then we look at it in the post-development condition. And when we put in these stone trenches, that compensates for the changes that we're making by putting impervious roofs and driveways down. And then that results in no storm events in those various directions. So we've done those calculations and put them on the plans. With regards to the shoreline protection, we looked at Hubbard Brook, certain bodies of water, either lakes or larger streams and rivers. And what DES says is anything 4th order or larger is protected under shoreland. And just to explain what that means, a 1st order stream has no other streams coming into it. A 2nd order stream has one other stream coming into it, 3rd order, and so forth. So a 4th order stream, 3 streams coming into it, And DES includes shoreline protection on first, second, or third order that's listed in the state listing of protected streams. A third order stream, and it's not listed. So there is no shoreline protection zone afforded to it. Just to put minds at ease, Hubbard Brook proper is about 250 feet away from any of our proposed work. So even if it were, it wouldn't be an issue. With regard to the state approval, we have submitted for state approval of the subdivision. And I have been corresponding back and forth with Noah Buckner of New Hampshire DES. They've asked for pieces of information, additional notes added to the plans. We've provided that to them, and it's reflected on this plan that you have here. And we believe that state approval's pending any day, as far as that's concerned. And but we don't have state approval as of tonight. There was a call to revisit with the fire chief and roadway superintendent Mike. Bailey did that. And I guess Bailey, you want to
Sure.
explain your conversations?
Yeah, one of the changes we had to make in regards to their comments.
And John McKay is here.
John is
who
here.
The
He's here.
fire chief, so,
Yes.
you know. If you wanna say something too.
Yeah, based on the basis of safety, the removal of one of our driveways or entrances to Mirror Lake itself, was found to be necessary. So now we only have two. We have one entrance here by the corner and one right next to Hans Herzog's driveway right here. This driveway, which used to go right in between the two of them, is now attached to this first entrance right here on this driveway here. That was the change we made. In addition to that, on the road agent's comments, we are going to have to grade down this corner and obviously remove the trees as well, for site visibility, safety reasons, for entry and exit of that driveway. Those are the comments that we got on that. Otherwise, those are the comments we received. These are the changes we made because of that.
To make that top leg a little bit bigger like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You good with it, John?
I'm good with it.
Good.
Yep.
So that does necessitate a waiver be granted by the board, because under your definition of driveway, you have
We've got it.
And you guys all have that too? Basically, the way it works, this is a very standard road agreement. Every owner in this division here, the subdivision, is responsible for maintaining the roads, including this easement. Whether that be us or my clients, the current owners, or individuals.
But, you sometimes you're gonna get one person that doesn't wanna do it.
Of each property. So when you transfer ownership,
It was recorded when we first started.
it's required that you participate in this.
Sure,
And if you do not participate in that, then you are liable.
But the organization by committee never works. I think that's where we.
Yeah,
that's all I'm just saying.
With Scott, like if
well, I
there's,
mean,
if there's nothing in here that states that the group of 5 owners has to get together and vote on the point of contact that's gonna communicate with the maintenance company, you'd have a lot of points of contact just.
I mean, I don't know. It's in a mess like
Yeah,
this.
To me, you owe me $125 to maintain the road. I said, D.
Or there have to be
And
one
then
point of
HOA,
contact.
Very simple.
against a homeowner that doesn't pay their fair share on an annual basis.
I mean, just to protect these homeowners too.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't see much way of getting around having some sort of a mechanism in place.
Very simple, doesn't
I
it?
think it's a simple HOA.
Yeah, simple.
And I brought that point in last meeting, that we have a situation. They show up with the trucks and driveway hasn't been cleared in one portion or somewhere, and they can't get through. There's a fire there 300 feet down the road.
Yeah.
They can't get through. Now, you start the blame game. Oh,
No,
he didn't
that's-
call, he didn't do that.
That's where the road maintenance agreement comes into play, but now it's having the vehicle. So the HOA is the vehicle. The
enforce
roadway
this.
maintenance
So we're gonna come up with a
says-
simple HOA.
The
Correct.
roadway maintenance says that the whole thing has to be done under contract, and it's not, it's not your responsibility to take care of your section.
Yeah.
The whole thing's going to be contracted.
Yeah, if this alone is not sufficient, that's okay. We would be okay with producing a simple HOA.
I think it would be wise to have some sort of a vehicle in place, because anything might come up, there might be other topics that.
They
The
want
need to,
lighting, or they might, who knows, but I mean, but we don't care about that, I mean, I'm just concerned. Cause I know I have a house, it works, kind of works out, but one person doesn't pay, oh, well, and who do you call and what do you do and.
Understood.
all right,
I
well,
have a couple of
sure,
things. There's no severability clause in here, and there probably should be.
Sure.
But that's minor.
Okay.
Really, the one that I have an issue with is number 9, termination. I have some personal experience with this. Okay, so let's say you have the 5-lot subdivision and you sell the first lot, which happens to be the furthest in,
Mhm.
and the LLC goes bankrupt.
Sure.
And a new owner buys the assets and says, no, I don't want this. The first lot owner then, that's exactly correct. So
Gotcha.
this termination doesn't work
Okay,
for me.
that makes
Period.
sense.
Yeah, so
Okay,
That's a good.
I've seen it.
yeah. So, though that makes
Have
sense.
you seen it approached in a different manner that would be?
So this particular, in this particular case, there was a bond for the road. So, because under the town's standard, there had to be a bond so that the road would be brought to the town's standard. The town inadvertently allowed the bond to lapse. And so there was nothing, and to this day, they've never gotten it straightened out. Yeah, but everybody's aware of, they're very neighborly, so, but someday they're gonna have to repair the road.
Right.
So something's gonna have to be done.
Okay.
The other issue that I have is, with the waiver. I'm disinclined to grant a waiver. I don't see how that improves safety. You still have the same number of cars going in and out of that small area on that corner. And so, if it were to come to a vote right now for a waiver, I'm a no. So
But the recourse would be to put another driveway.
we would have to see that. But as
That's how it was on the.
Yeah.
As this plan
That's
says.
how it was on the prior plan.
Right, and that didn't work either. I think
From what standpoint?
Why did you change it to this?
It was request from.
At the request of, not only the fire department, but the road agent.
Okay, right, but so that then does not go to our subdivision regulations. And so for that reason, I am disinclined. For me, for a waiver, no matter what it is, it has to be overwhelming. And this isn't overwhelming.
But
I don't see.
Right, there's not a requirement in the subdivision regulations for limiting the number of driveway curb cuts or the proximity of curb cuts to each other. It was brought to us to, from their standpoint, public safety standpoint, it would be better if there weren't as many. So now it's a subjective request and we're complying with it. So in the absence of a waiver, we would be entitled to be able to put that driveway in. There's no regulation against that.
I hear what you're saying. Under this plan, I'm disinclined because it requires a waiver. And I don't see how it increases public safety. It does, the same number of vehicles will be accessing a similar point.
Understood.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's not an overwhelming argument in favor of it.
And for me, I'm a no to the waiver also. I looked up the definition of waiver and the reasons that you give for granting the waiver. And this one here, I guess I kind of hang my hat a little more on the second reason than the first, but the first I think is also true. I don't see any specific circumstances relative to this project or this piece of land. There's no condition there of the land that makes it so that you can't carry out a proper project. If you read it, you can read it, it's on page 433. Basically, I paraphrased it. Look at, it says, there needs to be a special circumstance, a specific circumstance that makes this property very unique. And if you made them meet the standard 100%, they couldn't carry out the project. And so I'm paraphrasing it, maybe one of us should read it, but that to me, I don't see anything different or real extraordinary or special about this property that makes it totally different than other properties that get subdivided. And the first reason is strict conformity to the standard poses an unnecessary hardship to the applicant. And a waiver would not be contrary to the spirit of the of the town, of the property. And I don't see that the hardship is of such a great degree that justifies waiving standard that we've always required, Scott told you, we've always said you gotta have a road. And a turnaround and no dead ends and no hammerheads. A road that either has a cul-de-sac or a road that loops around back to the front, not dead ends anywhere. For a subdivision, for a community, for a grouping of houses. And 5, I know isn't a big number, and I don't know what the number should be to maybe make a difference, but I don't think we can waive it for a 5-unit subdivision, or we haven't waived it for any number. So,
Haven't waived. Or,
the road standards. The road standards.
but we're not proposing a road here,
Well, I'm saying you need to. That's what I'm saying.
based on what though?
Based on that sort of standards to build a public way or a road in a subdivision, period.
Right, but we're not proposing to build a road,
I know, I'm saying you need to. That's what I'm saying.
but that's not what your regulations say.
And where does it say driveways are used for subdivisions? They might be in a big subdivision, you're gonna have roads and you're gonna have driveways off of roads. but-
Let's just take this in a different direction, and if we were proposing 2 lots
Right,
on Mirror Lake Road,
right,
which we did prior, to break off Hans's lot. We broke off 1 lot from the rest of the lot.
right,
That was a subdivision that
Right.
didn't require a roadway.
right. Because that's a minor
No,
subdivision.
I
Yeah.
understand, but there's no question there.
Right,
If we went to 3 lots or 4 lots, and they were more standard, rectangular lots, there is an argument to be made when you have a great deal of frontage on an existing road that you can subdivide on using Mirror Lake Road.
Mhm.
And that's acceptable because we don't need a road because we have Mirror Lake Road.
right,
It's when we get into this little bit of a nuance and we're having shared driveways and odd shaped lots that come to the point of have we gone too far and now we need a roadway? Right? So your regulations allow 2 houses to be accessed
right,
from a common driveway. So there's recognition of a situation in which you don't create a new road. That you create lots on an existing road and you share a driveway between 2 houses.
And that's acceptable.
Right, and that's what
And
we're,
that's acceptable.
we're, right, and
Yeah.
so I'm trying to move from acceptability to not acceptable. And here what we've tried to do is propose a subdivision utilizing Mirror Lake Road and common driveways. And we had 2 lots sharing a driveway, 1 lot in the middle that had its own driveway, and 2 lots sharing another driveway. Which, by the spirit of the regulations, is acceptable.
But the
Well-
I was gonna say,
safety,
by the-
the road agent and the fire
Right.
department said no. to
When
that.
did I cross over from acceptability into not?
With the 3 driveways, with the
Yeah.
3 lots on 1 driveway.
right.
Correct. So if we put the single driveway,
It's not, it's my understanding that the fire chief and the road, public works director, have said that that's not acceptable. Is that correct?
They preferred this
It's
design.
not preferred, it was,
Yeah, my concern with
there's a safety.
the middle driveway was just to get to that middle house, you're putting in a 200-foot driveway. So now we go into that driveway, now we're gonna back down 200 feet.
Right.
Now with the way they have it set up now, with the two driveways around there that attach, we can just make a circle around.
You're saying this is
Yeah, the
actually,
house
a
is-
sa-
the
So
house
it's a
connected to
safety
the
issue. It's a safety.
you're actually saying this is a safer approach.
This is a safer approach.
Yeah.
If they wanna go there, that third driveway, then be it. But for me, I'd rather not. When it doesn't make sense when you can have 25 feet coming from one of those other driveways to that house.
And-
Why have a 200-foot driveway?
And to be honest with you, Mike, from Public Works, liked this plan better too. To be honest.
Yes,
with you.
we don't want 3 driveways for sure, on that curve and, 3 driveways, there's not room for
You're
3.
concerned about setting precedent with. the
Yeah,
way-
It's not overwhelming for me.
No,
I'm only
no,
one, I'm
no,
only
no.
one of a quorum, so.
and Bonnie read
Yeah.
or paraphrased the requirements of grant a waiver, and I understand the bar is high.
Yes,
And that the board, if the board can't get over that bar, then that's fine, because you have procedures to follow. But you just heard from the chief that he'd prefer not to have that third driveway. But it's not a requirement that we not have that driveway. So we can have 3 driveways. And we can have, therefore, we can meet all of the regulations with the prior plan that we have. Without doing a new right of way. So I'm grappling with my
I hear ya.
my explanation of, okay, 2 is fine. There's a tipping point here, and I'm trying to find out what put us over the tipping point from a regulation standpoint, or is it just, it doesn't feel right? And I have a hard time going back to my client and saying, we can't do 5 lots because it doesn't feel right to the board.
I'm not worried about appeals, I'm not inclined to vote yes for a waiver. I mean, I have a fundamental problem with it. in
I'm
this
past
case.
that now. I'm
Yeah.
past that now, and I'm saying now,
So-
so if we put the 3 driveways back, where are we with the board?
It's compliant with our board requirements,
My,
but it's a safety issue. But that's not in our requirements.
I hate waivers, and the town doesn't have many rules. And I agree, but I mean, maybe this
And, so,
qualifies, I mean, the fact that John wants it this way and the public works director wants it this way, and if we don't grant
they
the
want it
waiver,
to-
they can do it anyway.
You can ask them.
well, I'm not sure of that, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I would
I'm having a hard time.
right, I mean, with the amount of
That's
frontage,
the
the
only
blind
other
corner and
solution.
all that stuff, I mean, I would have to just start thinking about it from a different perspective, but in the moment here, initially, it was a safety issue for 3 driveways, okay? And then today, was the first time I saw this, and I asked when we were at the site plan, would this require a waiver? And so this was kind of a surprise on me thinking about it. So from Mirror Lake Road to here, I had to reflect and say, wait a minute, it's 3. I'm not a fan of waivers. I'm not a fan of zoning, okay? And if we don't enforce the rules that we have, this is gonna spill over far from here. And so it's and there have been other waiver requests that have been granted that I voted no on. Okay, and but they were granted. So like I said, I'm just one in the quorum.
Well, and that's, right now, our position is we don't have a position, we don't care. And
I get you.
what we're trying to salvage, we're trying to keep the plan intent, which is 5 lots. Where we think we meet the regulations with 3 driveways. we've heard from the roadway agent and the chief that preference would be to eliminate that middle one, which necessitates the waiver,
I
so.
think everybody agrees that the 3 driveways isn't.
Well, that's the one that meets the
Preferred.
requirement of
Yeah,
our
is it
document.
So I guess,
I know.
I guess our choice here, if. You know, we can't really say, if we put 3 driveways in, really, it'd be Mike's court whether he would grant the driveway permit or
Didn't
not.
we ask for something in writing on this, if it was, and perhaps if we can't get past the waiver, that we get something in writing from the road agent and from the fire chief, that it's acceptable to have the 3 driveways.
And, I mean, you've heard from 2 of us that we're not really in favor of the waiver. I don't know if that's the majority view. I mean, what you have to worry about is the majority view of the board. I
I think it's a
just,
lot less messy if we gave them a waiver. I mean, you know, in general, but I agree,
I
know
agree, it's
it's-
easier. I don't agree that it's
No,
less
it's messy.
messy.
Yeah.
you know, there's,
I apologize, I got another. meeting.
okay, thank you though, thank you.
Good job.
You know, there's other criterias for waivers. Those are the 2,
We don't have many rules, that's the thing.
no, we don't.
And I get stuck putting a 50-foot right away in my stupid yard.
And you're supposed to
tell you
grant
that.
a waiver because it's in the public's best interest. Well, I don't know how you know, you could discuss that and how you come down on that, the side of whether the waiver is in the public's best interest or not. Values, the impact on values. That it not being in contrary to the spirit of the law.
Read the RSA if that would help.
That'd be great.
No,
Yeah, read it. I'm fair, I just made notes to myself. Read it. Let's read it, see what it exactly it says.
The basis for any waiver granted by the planning board shall be recorded in the minutes of the board. The planning board may only grant a waiver if the board finds by majority vote that, number 1, strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations. Or 2, specific circumstances relative to the site plan or conditions of the land in such site plan indicate that the waiver will properly carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Is it both or?
It's an or.
It's an
or,
You read the second part again, please, I'm
Second
sorry.
part seemed more critical.
specific circumstances relative to the site plan or conditions of the land in the site plan indicate that the waiver will properly carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
well, in a way it does, because the regulations are here to promote safety. You know, and you know, the whole thing and, you know, make it require, you know, just the safety and for everybody is probably better off not having 3 driveways there and everything else. So in a way, you are promoting the spirit of what we're trying to do here.
You just keep the public safe.
Well, you know, a driveway, by definition.
I just think it's crazy to put 3 driveways there.
I do too.
What I think.
And I don't disagree with you.
Sure.
Okay, so, but I mean, that's.
So I'm tempted to vote, I would probably vote, you know, not agree with Lee, probably vote for a waiver on this. And I'm not a big waiver person, I'm not. And I'm pissed, I should have gotten a waiver from Bonnie.
Yes.
Fine.
But
But I don't know, you know, I mean, I am one vote.
Can
So
I
that's it.
suggest we take a vote?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's.
there's no hard feelings here.
Yeah, no, it's, and you know, you've done something once, one
But
time.
only,
doesn't
only
mean you
on,
have-
only on the waiver, not on the whole project.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, before we do that, shouldn't we get something in writing from fire department and the road agent? Because we don't have anything right now in writing.
Did we ask for that the last time, something in writing?
Yes.
Yeah, so John came here in lieu of that.
And Mike was here.
Mike was at the-
We should have
We
something.
should have something in writing.
should have something.
Because people change.
Yeah, no, I agree, you should document anything we have.
Despite everything I had explained to them and despite the fact that I know you guys requested that, they really didn't understand the request and the necessity of it.
No, they didn't, and
The
then I think they
regulation
showed up at the
requires it.
meeting.
Right.
Well, we're basing our waiver vote on that, on their decision. Okay, and that.
Right, we are, and
And,
you're
and
exactly
we
right.
should have it in writing.
So we should have,
Here, then when we take the vote, that should be here. That-
right,
Because what if tomorrow something happens? God forbid, Mike is not around, or John is not around, somebody else is there
I think that's a great point.
who has a different opinion, and we made a decision, and now we don't have anything to substantiate it with.
We could vote on the waiver contingent on having those letters.
And we can, we have voted conditionally,
we're gonna-
but
so you're proposing that we vote conditionally on the two driveway aspect with the waiver for the third driveway. The three house driveways off of one driveway,
Right,
based upon,
the recommendations of the fire department and the public works.
And the park, the RSA, item 2 seem to be applicable.
yeah,
Right, so
to
yeah.
me, the second,
Yeah.
was. more
I mean, we're using their
pertinent.
recommendation to make the waiver.
Yeah, and
So,
I think, the three houses on one driveway, which by design is not a high standard road.
Yeah.
It is quite a bit, quite a bit, for three houses to share one driveway is a lot, and I don't know the length of that driveway, it's the whole length of the property to the back. Is a lot, it's narrower. It is not built to the same standard, it doesn't have the same drainage and shoulder requirements or, anything. The road has three houses on a driveway is a lot, and I think that's why I hate to go from 2 to 3 on a driveway, period, never mind anything else.
Okay.
Two car.
Yeah.
Each house has 2-car garage.
Yeah, and parking outside of it, as well.
Yeah, not parking on the premise, so probably four spaces.
Parking for 4, yeah.
So 2-car garage,
But
each
there's no
house has
house on
2-car
this
garage.
Yes, yeah.
There's no house drawn on.
lot two,
two.
4, where's the house?
It is, right up further, right here.
No, this lot right here.
Well, that's the house, right? There's
The-
1, 2, 3, 4,
No house
5.
on-
Okay, all right,
That's the house.
oh, okay, I was
This is
looking at
all
this
one-
line
this
as
is all
a,
one.
no,
That's
so
I
it's
was
that
looking at
over
this
here,
one.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I was looking
thank
at
you.
this,
Yeah, me too.
got it.
I can see how.
The fact that the fire department would like us to do the waiver and the public works department would like us to do it, it's the only reason I'm saying you should do it. Not to make it easier for these guys or whatever, but I mean, again, I'm one vote.
Yeah, well,
So you
it's
guys, whatever you
majority-
feel,
The majority opinion, and I don't think we've never said yes to a hammerhead. And maybe somebody wants to explain a hammerhead, I know basically what it is, but we've always said
we can't.
no dead end roads and
Oh, okay.
cul-de-sacs.
yeah.
Well, that was
Make it
another-
more
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
What's a hammerhead?
What's a hammerhead? Or-
It's a T turnaround instead of a cul-de-sac.
Right,
That's what I thought it was.
yeah, right.
All right, did you make, who worded?
I make the motion that we vote on it.
Contingent.
Contingent on the letters from the fire department and the public works director.
Positive written recommendation.
Positive, thank you.
We.
I'm not good with that.
Yeah, but no, because it has to be,
No, I'm not good with
Affirmative.
that legal stuff.
We
Approved
voted
it
granting
for
a
the-
waiver.
That they prefer the two.
that they prefer the, yeah,
We prefer the 2, and we prefer granting the waiver
Mhm.
for 2, rather than end up with 3.
And for the reason,
And for, yeah,
and the reason for it.
all right, do we have a second to that motion?
I second that.
Okay, you want to record the vote?
Lee,
no,
Catherine,
Yes.
Igor,
Yes,
Scott,
Yes,
Margaret
No.
and Bonnie.
No, so it fails. So that's something we gotta work on, I mean, you know, that's something that we've got to.
Well, because they can just go right back to putting the 3 driveways in.
It might be
Because
some
that's-
driveway permit.
Yes,
But we may not,
that's true.
we may not vote for that,
Right, so we have a lot of bridges to cross.
yeah, we may not vote for 3, say no to 3.
Right, but that's what I wanna understand here is now. We're back to the plan that we had originally proposed, which we believe to be compliant. With all of your applicable regulations. So what would be the basis of,
We've never had a subdivision without a road network.
Is there a reason now for
We
them
just-
to go
we
back and
just-
get the
No,
letters?
A
But
subdivision.
we go back, we go back to my explanation.
Right,
And the first subdivision plan on this property that we gave you
right,
was a subdivision without a roadway.
right,
So you have entertained subdivisions without roadways. It's about having ample frontage on an existing roadway, which we do. We have Mirror Lake Road.
So I think for me, I would like an opportunity to revisit, choice, the first stab at it with the 3 driveways, just so I can better understand it in terms of subdivision regulations. The good news is that's not the only thing holding us up. We have the road agreement that's holding us up, so it's not just that. It gives us septic approval, and so we still have things that have to be done.
State approval.
Yeah, state approval.
Yeah.
So we still have things that need to be done, before our next, or the continuation of this
yeah.
hearing.
You know, it's obvious we'll be continuing, we don't wanna deny this, that isn't what
I
anybody's
just want, I
trying
need to
do.
better,
We wanna continue it until we get it to be a project that we're comfortable with.
For me, getting the information at, 4:30 and then coming here, it wasn't overwhelming. I mean, we should have had the information that a waiver was needed prior
Mhm.
to that. And that's part of the issue right here.
Honestly, when we have no problem
Right.
with continuing.
We're gonna continue anyway, we're not gonna, it's not gonna be a no tonight at all, that's not at all. We're gonna work on this and a lot of ideas and a lot of things to think about.
That's why we have these
And-
meetings.
And that's why we have
Yeah.
meetings and that's why we continue it. We don't have to notice everybody again. We're gonna talk all these things through until we have a
You said
project.
very well, by the way. Thank you. I mean, it's
Thank you.
detailed, so I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I just have all this stuff here, and I'll talk to Mike about the driveway situation.
Any other issue that any of the board members feel is that,
Oh,
you
just look at my
know,
notes.
an issue that we need to at least put on the table and think about. Between now and the next time
One
we meet.
question I would have on that driveway, is closer than where you have to cut the slope. That's fairly steep slope. What's the slope of the driveway?
Well, that is gonna be regraded, the drive.
What's the proposed slope of the driveway?
That. We've got.
So where we.
Big.
Yeah, I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
I know exactly what
it says.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Because what do we have, Bonnie? 15%? Max?
No, under 10,
Under 10?
10's max.
Well,
Under 10, 9's max,
That's for a
actually.
road, is that for a driveway?
That's for the driveway too, right?
Yes, I think,
We don't really have many roads on driveways.
no,
They gotta be 5 feet away from the property line.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have many roads on driveways, so
no,
I don't think, I don't think they do.
no, we don't. And that's almost part of the problem too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
part
something,
of the problem too.
because, yeah, you don't wanna.
10%.
It's 10%,
10,
so are we supposed to be less than 10%?
yeah, it'd be 9, max up for 9,
On a
under
road.
10.
This is drive.
Right.
Madam Chair, I don't mean to be. that
No, I
way,
get it.
But
I get
it's about what the animal is, and the animal's a
What the
driveway.
rules we have are rules we have.
Well, I haven't gotten beyond it. being
Now-
able to be a driveway in a major subdivision. I
Another-
can't get beyond that.
Another question I would have that when we were there at the site visit, and pretty much all of us kind of mentioned how about the private road, and I think road agent would like to see that as well. Your words back would be you would lose a lot. So for you to go from driveways and all this rigmarole that we have right now here, going to a road, it's economical. It's economical reason.
It's
You want to-
economic, yes.
Yeah, you want to put 5 lots instead of 4,
Absolutely.
because 4 would.
Anyone that
Would
purchases,
work a lot better.
right, anyone that purchases property for the purposes of development wants to maximize their investment.
Believe me, I've been in real estate all my life, so
So-
I know all
so-
about it.
Right, so and that's why I pressed hard on the regulations and compliance, and I use the example of, when did we, 2-lot subdivision on Mirror Lake Road is fine, 5 lots is causing trepidation, but have we gone out of compliance with any of applicable regulations? So, and that's the important basis, because I have to go back to the client and say, you just lost a lot, but you lost a lot because 5 lots is not compliant.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the quandary, and of course. Someone asked, what is marketable? Well, a building lot is marketable, right? It really doesn't matter what it looks like on paper. It's about whether or not you have an area and a view and a well and a septic system and a driveway and all of those things. So yes, 5 lots are more marketable. 4 is not, the marketability and the value of 4 lots isn't gonna compensate for the lost 5th lot.
And yet that isn't a reason that we can use to vary anything.
Well, no,
Not
it's-
Financial,
It's a
yeah,
reason on what.
financial impact is not. a reason.
And if we were talking about a waiver, then I would wholeheartedly agree, but
Yeah.
we're trying to get to whether or not the 5-lot subdivision with 3 driveways is fully compliant. And if it's fully compliant, then there's not a reason for denial.
It just, there is still a safety question.
Right, but and then therein lies we still need to re-engage with Mike and John to say, okay, the board has voted to not grant this waiver. So now 2 driveways is not an option. We're going to 3 driveways. And now we need you to comment in writing to the board that you believe that while not their preference, it is acceptable.
That would have to be their words, not yours.
Absolutely, absolutely, that's what I'm saying, is that in the board that would help the board. If in their words, in their writing, if they put in writing that, yes, we would have preferred it, but understanding the board's position on the waiver, we see it as an acceptable situation.
There is another missing piece on the 3 driveways solution, which is in section 5.01 of our subdivision regulation. It requests not only that you speak with the town engineer and the fire chief, but also the chief of police about vehicular traffic safety.
Okay.
So we would need that statement in writing as well.
Okay. But we have work and you have things to look at.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
See you next month.
Well, you
Go ahead.
need to ask the public, we can't continue anything until we,
There's no public up there. is there?
yeah, but there is in the audience here.
Safety.
Any public appeal?
Police chief.
No,
No.
all right, the audience, any comments you folks want to make? Any input?
I have some questions about the subdivision and the buildings and the subdivision. It seems to indicate that all of the homes are 3,000 square feet. And Bailey was saying when we went to the site visit that that is not true.
Yeah, what you see is total square footage. And that includes 2 levels. So if it says 3,000 square feet, that means it's got a footprint of about 1,500.
So each of the homes have a footprint of about 1,500.
Yeah, roughly.
Plus the garage.
Plus the garage. Plus the garage, that does, yeah, that's not included. Now, so what you see on this plan, these are different homes, of course.
Mhm.
This is gonna be the biggest one, footprint wise. This would be the smallest one, footprint wise. This one here has a footprint of about. The footprint's about 1,000 square feet.
Is
Pretty
that
small.
2-bedroom, 3-bedroom?
They're all gonna be at least 3 bedroom and 2 bathroom. They're all gonna have 2 car garages.
So the footprint that we see there, this is what is going to be built, or is it just like, okay, for example, this is what's going to be built? Do you follow my question?
Sure, it's, we haven't fully decided yet.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know that for our purposes that
We
we
don't
need to, but
need-
I just wanted clarification, just.
When we decided to put these on the map, it was for clarity.
Yeah.
It's roughly what we have in mind.
Gotcha.
Initially, we had
Good with it.
planned to put much larger homes on here. Or my clients did anyway, and it just didn't seem to make any sense in our eye. Smaller footprints is more appropriate. I think it looks better. So the largest footprint we have, this one here, is about 1,500 square feet, again, not including the garage.
And that's
That's outside of ours.
Yeah.
purview.
Right, but just.
It's a good size.
To clarify. The board doesn't approve the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't, yeah,
We don't have to-
Yeah.
just for clarification. that's
Sure.
all.
Yeah, we have no input, that's a building.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
don't have
But yeah, that's
Building
for
permit,
example. Yeah.
the style, the material.
Yeah.
all of that.
Right, what will happen from here is, once we, if we receive approval, then we would move into designing the septic system. And at that point, maybe working with buyers of the homes to finalize
They
everything.
will have say in it,
And
yeah.
then what DES approves for a septic design will generally be what is physically built. Because then it'll have to be as-built stuff after the septic systems are installed.
Right.
I have another question for the engineer about, I'm particularly worried about my property, which is basically surrounded by floodplain between Norris Brook and Hubbard Brook. I'm particularly worried about drainage issues there. This is the border between my property, and there is a really steep ledge going all the way down my really steep driveway, and I'm worried about washouts to the driveway and obviously water in the house as a result of that. And I'm wondering if you can explain to me just how, how a waterfall isn't going to be created here with runoff.
Is the internet going in and out?
Yeah.
Wait, so it's,
No.
now it's in progress.
It's in progress.
Maybe.
This is a unique site in that, it's a plateau and there are essentially on all sides. The land slopes away. So when we look at, the drainage calculations, we look at the existing conditions, soil conditions, vegetative cover. And that tells us how much, when it rains, how much soaks into the ground and how much sheds off. And the water that sheds off is called runoff. And we calculate in the various directions, water always flows perpendicular to contour lines. So it's flowing this way, it's flowing this way, it's flowing this way. We predict how much water is moving in those directions in a rate format, in a cubic feet per second. And that's the numbers that we present up here in that. And you can see that in the 2-year and the 10-year and the 50-year, there's very little water running off this property onto the adjoining properties. So we have to then, when we put driveways in and roofs that are impervious, that impacts the ability of the land to soak that water in. And we designed this drainage system, which isn't small. The client wasn't happy with the quantity of stone trenching that we're providing along all of the driveways. The water sheds into that. It can then go in and into the ground. There's volume there, which is the first line of defense, in that the water goes into the voids in the stone, and then over time it can soak into the ground. And we've looked into the soil beneath these trenches. So we've done soil testing out there to find that the soils are suitable to that kind of a design, and design the quantity of stone trenching to define the length and width of that, or the depth and width and the length of those stone trenches to compensate for impervious. So in the post-development conditions, we're not making a lot of topographic changes. We're not making huge cuts. We're not making huge fills. So the direction of water, it doesn't change. You can see the contours here in existing, which are the dashed lines, are this way. The proposed contours are following that same. So again, water travels perpendicular to those contours. So it's going to move in that same direction. If we started to alter the topography such that we move water from it normally used to go this way, and now we're going to move it and send it someplace else, then yes, maybe we'll have a situation where you'd get more water in a direction, but we're not doing that. So that coupled with the proposed drainage system and the calculations that we do to size all that ensures that for all the rain events that we study, that no more water is going to leave the property than in the existing conditions. And that's, I mean, it's one of the biggest things that I have to do as an engineer. Been working 35 years in the industry to do just this, to solve these kind of problems. How can we develop and not impact our neighbors?
I really appreciate that. I just wonder what happens when all the homes are built and sold and there's flooding on the surrounding properties. Is it then the new homeowners that are responsible for problems that might occur after the houses are sold?
If the problems were from the new homeowners doing something that we didn't predict them to do, then yes, but the methodologies that we use to calculate these stormwaters, and you know, this is my stamp as a New Hampshire engineer. That's my livelihood. So I can't stand up here and lie for you to make his life better. I need to stamp this to make your life as good as it is today.
Thank you.
Not better, but as good as it is today. So if you got water in your basement today, you'll have water in your basement tomorrow.
Damn.
But no more. So the methodologies that we use pretty do a good job at predicting what we have to do to make sure that happens. So it's, when we have instances that neighbors are flooded from projects, it's usually because something went wrong in the installation of those systems. And this is a pretty simple system.
Okay,
And again, we're not making wholesale changes to the topography of the land, which makes it even easier for us to stand up and say that.
okay, I have two more questions, and then
Sure.
I'll turn it over. Bailey was saying at the last hearing that the electricity is going to be underground. Is that indicated in that plan somewhere?
No. We're just showing basic drainage where the wells are and
Roads.
what the driveways and grading. Right.
And that's not required at this time to
No.
show where the electricity is going on?
Not yet.
So, well, it has to be space for it, you know, you have to make sure there's enough space, but we can't dictate underground versus overhead.
But is the plan still to
Lines
put them
to bury them.
underground?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also just wanted to say, when we went to the site plan, I was very impressed at the beauty of the lot. And the views that one gets from the lot. And the trees that you're actually planning to keep on the property, I like that much better than flattening the whole thing and placing
Yeah.
houses around. I think it will look very lovely. What I wonder about and I'm worrying about is all the trees that are on the property right now, both in the interior, on the plateau, and surrounding the plateau on all sides, whether there are protections from future owners cutting the trees down so that they can get a better view of this, that, or the other thing.
That would change the runoff.
Yes,
I don't
that
think
would
it-
change the runoff.
So there's a provision in the New Hampshire regulations called alteration of terrain. And if we alter more than 100,000 square feet of terrain in any way, and that's removing trees, grading, we need a permit from the state, from DES. Our intent here is to be as minimally impactful as possible. To again, work with the land and the topography of the land. We're working with most of the work is in that field. Yeah, there's scrub pines there that have grown up. But our intent is to stay away from the perimeter forest on the hillside. Such that we don't